Hello out there, world. Happy Christmas Eve, and welcome to the Christmas edition of Disney 101. It's your main man, Tommy, on the spot. Thanks so much for checking us out here today on a Sunday morning. And do not worry, we have the clock running here. We will make sure you guys get out in plenty of time to kick to make sure you get settled for NFL kickoff and be ready to enjoy all of that. If you do like what you see, please do hit that subscribe button. And also make sure you follow us over on Twitter at Disney101pod. It's been a couple folks who have reached out to us with a couple news bits throughout the week. We will get to some of those. So thank you guys for continuing to do that. And on the other side of the glass is my main man right down in Orlando, Florida. Let's welcome in my main man, Steve. Steve, how are you doing today?
Good. It got a little chilly this morning. It was down to under 50 degrees. So I'm wearing my hoodie right now.
What, is it really down to 50 degrees in Florida?
It was like 48 this morning, but I think it's back up to the 60s now.
At some point, probably maybe our New Year's idea will be to do the bachelor party episode we've mentioned a couple of different times. And I do remember when I was down there in January, in the morning, it was very, very cold.
It gets cold. Yeah, it gets like people are like, "Oh, it's Florida. You're never cold." It's like, no, it does get cold.
We are in the process of planning a trip to Arizona at the end of this January, and I do not think that is going to be as cold. I think that is like 70s, 80s degrees. But yeah, Florida was freezing when we go to the parks. It was bitter cold in the morning. Well, excuse me, in the morning.
The desert can get cold at night too, because like the whole thing is that it's only because of the sun. Then the desert gets just as cold at night too. So,
oh damn! Well, we can't escape it. Here in New York, it's bitter freezing cold as usual. It is complete chaos here. Have you finished all of your holiday shopping?
Yeah, didn't really do a whole lot of holiday shopping to begin with, but yeah, it's all taken care of and everything.
That is good. That is good. I am a major last-minute holiday shopper. I had this weekend penciled in the entire time for all of our holiday shopping and all of our holiday goods. So right after we are done, I'm going to be running and gunning for the next 6 hours like only I do. Hitting up every store in sight, trying to make sure I get last-minute gizmos and gadgets and whatever else I can get my hands on to get under the tree and ready to go for the holidays. So it's going to be complete chaos, and it's going to be a lot of fun, though. Christmas Eve, which I didn't even know was a thing until I signed on to Twitter this morning and saw that, and looks like folks are getting into it. So very cool. And one thing that I wanted to talk about that was really cool, or I know something that you had mentioned originally to me, a good place maybe to start off is the new 4-park plan. Do you have that up and ready to go?
I did. Now I have to get back to it.
I believe I have it here. Hang on one second. And we're going to get into all of the other parts. I know there's a big new Disney story going around that we will get into about poor Buzzy at some point here today. So
I had it up. I had the news article up, but I went to the website to get like the actual pricing and everything.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I do have it. So it is a new special 4-park magic tickets, which will make visiting Walt Disney World in 2019 more affordable. So with the 4-park tickets that you could purchase, you can basically go to 1 park per day. And I believe, and I will just pull this up because the article you had sent me was a little more, was a little easier to kind of go through and see. But yeah, 4 parks a day. So you basically 1 park per day. So you basically get 1 day at the Magic Kingdom, 1 day at Epcot, 1 day at Hollywood Studios, and 1 day at Animal Kingdom. Have to purchase all 4 1 park a day passes in order to go do this. But if you do, it is $340, which means $85 per day, which is pretty crazy, is it not?
It is, yeah. I mean, even if you're looking at like the lowest price, you're still saving anywhere between 10 to 20 or even more than that on some of those peak days per day. So that definitely adds up when you have a whole family to take care of. The one thing that I will say that is very important to know about this 4 park ticket is that you can only go to each park once, which means you're getting a 4-day ticket, but you go to Animal Kingdom once, you go to Hollywood Studios once, you go to Epcot once, you go to Magic Kingdom once. It's not a park hopper. It's not a, you can go, you can double up to any park. You can go to like to Magic Kingdom, to Epcot, like a regular 4-day ticket. It's you have to go to each park once. You can go whenever. So, for example, if you select Animal Kingdom your first day, you can go in and out of Animal Kingdom as many times as you want, but you can only go to Animal Kingdom.
Gotcha. Yeah, one of the things we'll talk about at a later time is the best park to start a trip like that off, or maybe the best park to end a trip off like that. But the offer is now valid. You can go ahead and do this, and it will run from January 18th to March 1st. So your 4-day passes need to be used either 7 days upon first use. So you don't have to go 4 consecutive days. If you're going down there for a week, you can split them up. But it needs to be 7 days after first use or by March 1st, 2019, whichever comes first. A major bummer for yours truly, because of the fact that I will be heading down to the parks. My next trip will be on March 3rd, 2019. So I miss it by 2 days. But at the same time, I also probably won't be there for a full 2-hour, for a full 4 days. So for me, it really wouldn't pay to do it. But if you're going down there or you want to experience each one of the parks, I always like doing these types of things. I know people love the park hopper, but if you have the time to do this, I always say doing 1 park per day is the way to go, because you're forced in that situation to fully get the most out of the park. You're not so worried about, hey, let's get back to Magic Kingdom because we got to get on Space Mountain. We have this, we have it set up for a fast pass at this time. You're going to be there. You're going to do everything. And I think that this is certainly good for some of the smaller parks, like, or that don't have as many attractions, I guess, like an Epcot or like a Hollywood Studios, different things to that extent, that you're going to get the most out of your stay there. You'll be able to do some meet and greets. You'll be able to eat. I personally love it.
Yeah, it's an absolutely awesome. It's a great deal, and it's really good for those people that don't like to rush, that don't want to run and gun, that don't want to worry about park hopping and that kind of thing. It's really good for that because you know that you're dedicating this whole day. Maybe not. Maybe you're only going to spend half the day, or maybe you're only going to go to this one park for a couple of hours or whatever. But you know that you're dedicating. You don't have to worry about, we have to go, finish everything so we can go to the next park. Like, you can take your time. You can focus on the stuff that you really want to get to, and you can go and do a lot of, maybe this time with this park ticket will be the time that you explore Epcot a little bit more and find things that you've never even thought about before. There's a lot of hidden gems in the World Showcase of Epcot, and there's a lot of actually that we kind of stumbled on even when we went last weekend, when we went to Epcot for the Holidays Festival. There were a couple of things that we ran into. It was like, how long has this been here? How have we never come across this before? And there's been like a lot of things. So in each park, you'll find something that you maybe hadn't thought of before to go into and stumble across, and now it becomes your favorite thing to do. So this is a great option for people that like to take their time, that don't want to feel rushed, that might be here for an extended period, so that maybe you're not doing a whole week at the parks. Maybe you're only going to do 4 days at the parks, and you wanted to explore more about your resort or more other stuff to do in Orlando. So I think it's a great idea. It's a great option especially for families that are going to save for each person.
Yeah, and there is going to be other options that are going to be released not too far after this. That'll be valid for different dates through September 30th. As those become available, obviously we'll let you know what they are. But this particular one, again, is January 18th to March 1st. One of the things that is cool about that is that that will be during Epcot's International Festival of the Arts, which will be the Disney on Broadway concert series. That'll be 7 days a week directly in the parks, and you'll be able to basically hear different songs and different tunes and productions from the Disney on Broadway series. That runs January 18th to February 25th. So that's something that you'll be able to check out if you do decide to go during that period of time. One thing I wanted to touch on as well, speaking of, because I did see Epcot's Festival of the Arts, and I totally forgot that you just went last week over to Epcot's Holidays Around the World and provided live coverage over on our Twitter, Disney 101 Pod. That's why you got to follow along on Disney 101 Pod. It was one of these things where I was over kind of just doing my thing, and I looked down and I started seeing all these alerts on different likes and different things that people were doing on our Twitter, and I was like, what's going on? And I look, and there's Stevie's providing photos and different fun things. So how was your trip over to the Holidays Around the World?
It was a lot of fun. I will say that I was very impressed with the L'Chaim stand that they had. It was in between France and Morocco. It was right where I think that was where it was. It was around it, in that area, right where the Belgium stand usually is for Food and Wine Festival. If you're as kind of a point of reference, it was in that area. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was in the Brazil area, right, kind of in between France and Morocco. But anyway, I was actually really impressed with it because they had pastrami on a marble rye bread. There were potato knishes. There were a couple of other things that I didn't get, but I did also get the traditional black and white cookie, that you would see in like a deli or a diner or something like that.
Oh,
and
okay.
all of it, and I was actually really impressed with the quality of everything. It did really feel actually like it was coming straight out of a New York deli, so I was very impressed.
That is awesome. That's very cool. So you had started. I'll pull up here. And how long did this last you? Take you guys? Were you guys there all day, or?
No, we really only spent a couple hours there. It's the kind of is the luxury of living in here in Orlando. We didn't we never feel compelled to stay the whole day or do anything. We kind of had other stuff to do. But we were like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's take a quick walk around. It was basically our lunch. And I think everything that I got there at that particular stand, we got a couple of other things here and there. But at that one stand, it was $11 for basically an entree, a side dish, and a dessert. And I was feeling fairly okay, like full, like I wasn't feeling like, oh my God, now I have to go eat 12 other things. Like if you're a regular person and feel like, okay, I can get, what's essentially a pastrami slider and a potato knish, which was bigger than the sandwich, and a cookie that was actually really good for $2 and a decent size, it fills you up pretty good, and you can be kind of, go about your day.
That's awesome. That is very, very cool. It looked really great. Everything you guys had there was something that I thought looked delicious and it looked really good there. So good for you guys, and kind of taking the next kind of a good segue here from that. Have you heard about the new VIP Magic Kingdom Park Taste of the Magic Kingdom Park tour? Have you heard about this?
I have heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, this has become something that pretty much what you're going to be getting out of this deal. And this was something that I've seen some folks on Twitter are a little torn on this. Some folks seem to think it's really great. Some people think it's not so great. Yes, by the way, I do have a festive light up holiday sweater, so please do not be distracted by the lights down here. But we do have, so basically for this deal, so it's $99 per person. Obviously, this is on top of admission, so I think that's where people get a little about it. But you're going to be getting, you basically will be able to go on a VIP tour, behind the meals type tour, and you hear stories. This is according right to the DisneyWorld.DisneyGo.com website. So it says, uncover the magic behind the meals. Hear stories from brilliant chefs and their dedicated cast members that bring creative and delicious meals to life each day at Magic Kingdom Park. From the rich food history of Disney parks to the Imagineering of new menu items, you'll be immersed in culinary magic. I think that part of it's really cool. The fact that you're going to be able to hear about, kind of everything that goes into the decision to have these types of things. I think what Steve just talked about the L'Chaim type stand that was there for the festival, the Holidays Around the World Festival. There's clearly a lot of thought that goes into that. Clearly, they're talking to people who either work in a New York style deli that have all these different types of dishes. So it's cool to hear all that.
Yeah. I will say though, the one thing that I thought was interesting, just because you do get access to the backstage kitchens and you see how everything works and everything like that. So you're looking basically in a live environment. Like you're looking at the behind the scenes kitchens and everything. But that does actually remind me of one thing. I did notice they don't like announce it or anything, but I did see on another website that although everything is, it's a very Jewish themed area, and they actually do every so often they come out with someone that tells the story of Hanukkah and everything. The food there is not kosher, and that is because it is made in the same kitchen as a lot of the other food preparation and stuff. So because of the fact that it's made within the same area, it's not deemed to be kosher. It's kosher for the fact that it follows along with all the other kosher guidelines. Like there's no pork, you're not mixing meat and dairy and that kind of stuff. Uh, but because it's made with other things that are not kosher, by definition, then that means that all the other stuff that they're serving in this one stand is not kosher. I thought that was kind of interesting. It wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily a deal breaker for me, but I know for other people that are, that do keep kosher, that would be excited to see that stand. They would kind of be a little bit disappointed when they'd go up and say, "Oh, all of this stuff that we would love to have isn't actually kosher." So
That is
wasn't a
tough.
deal breaker
Yeah.
for me, but it was kind of interesting.
And if they ask, I guess they tell them no, it's not, right?
Oh yeah, no, I mean you got to say that. I mean,
Right.
the good news is though is that I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff, if you would go next door to Morocco, because they have similar dietary restrictions with halal, I think a lot of the stuff in Morocco would be okay, but because they do have their own separate kitchens and everything, but because a lot of that festival stuff is made in big kitchens and then it's kind of brought to the stands where they heat it up a little bit more.
Gotcha.
It's got that gray area where technically it's kosher, but it's cooked in the same kitchen as other stuff, so technically it's not. Like it depends how strictly you keep. It's kosher in
Right.
the sense that there's no meat and dairy products mixed, and it's not pork, and those kinds of things. But in the strictest sense, if you are a very, very religious Orthodox person, it's not strictly speaking kosher.
There you go. Wow, that is interesting. Well, this particular tour, something that I also noticed that was interesting about this is
Yeah.
it feels like they're giving you a lot of tastings. Doesn't feel like you're getting full meals out of this, and I think that might be why people are saying it's not worth the price there. But it says along the way, tuck into curated tastings of some of the most beloved menu items at Magic Kingdom Park. Be sure to bring your appetite. An incredible assortment of sweets and savory flavors awaits. And then it also says you'll be able to taste a sampling of an item that is still in development. So it makes it clear one item that's still in development. So it doesn't seem like they're really letting you know how much you could experience in this 3 hour thing. But it does seem cool that you get a VIP tour. And if you can afford it, I'd say why not?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty cool, and for people that love behind the scenes tours and especially new experiences, because my time at Disney Vacation Club, there were a lot of people that were looking for behind the scenes tours, that were looking for things that they've never experienced before. To be able to get backstage access, it's very unique, and I mean, $99 is it's definitely nothing to sneeze at, but it's as far as some of the other tours go, it's on the lower end actually, as
Right.
far as some of the other experiences. And if you are a foodie and want to, you really like the process of cooking and everything like that, or if you have, I don't see an age restriction here. Let me see, 12 years or older. But if you have, a preteen or teen or, someone like that that is interested in becoming a chef, maybe, this would be a great experience to say, here's what it's like to be a chef at the busiest place in the world, to go and say, here's what working in a real kitchen in a real restaurant is like. Um, but they're not going to say how many things you get to try because it could vary. They're not going to say we're guaranteeing you, five different dishes or whatever the case is, because that could always change, and they never want to promise something that they're not going to be able to deliver on.
That makes sense.
But
Yeah.
I mean, the way the wording, yeah, it's kind of made to say we're going to feed you, we can't really tell you what it's going to be like or that kind of thing. I'm sure if you were to call the WW tour phone number, they might be able to give you a little bit more information, especially in regards to dietary restrictions and that kind of thing, in case there's something on the tour that you might be allergic to, or you might not be able to eat, or that kind of thing. I'm sure they have a way of knowing what's in store for you, or at least a general idea, so that they can kind of tell the tour guys in advance what to expect.
Yeah, and I will say, if you go down here to New York City, like, you know, we've done some of these tours. Your Taste of Love tour, I guess, on Valentine's Day weekend, we've done a couple things down here, and it's about that price. I mean, the tastings are not cheap, so it is something to look at and something to kind of experience. So, you know, I think it's just kind of what it is. One of the other things kind of coming to the parks as we look at this, 3 years in the making. I remember hearing about this back in 2015. Is one of the things that the NBA experience coming to Disney Springs seems like this is going to be a ticketed day-long attraction. And basically, this is what you're going to get with. Have you heard about this yet, Steve?
I actually have not.
So I will play you a little bit of that. I'll give you a little bit of what to expect if you decide to go to the NBA experience. Now, I'm assuming, Steven, tell me if I'm wrong, is this replacing the kind of arcade style deal they had there?
This is replacing Disney Quest, yeah.
Disney Quest, okay, which is always something I wanted to do. Was bummed out I never got to do, but I always heard I shouldn't have been too bummed out.
Well, I loved it. I liked it. It was one of those things where I don't believe I ever paid to get into it, so I kind of had a different experience with, oh yeah, this is a great place that we got into for free occasionally. If I had to pay for it, I'd probably have a different view of it, but for what it was, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I always wanted to do it. Never got a chance to, which is a bummer. But this NBA thing does sound pretty cool. It does sound a little similar to the NBA store down here in New York City, except for the fact that in New York City, it's kind of just you do your own thing, whereas this seems like if you pay a certain fee to go in there, you'll be able to go ahead and do this. So it does sound cool. I'll run through it quickly here. So experience one of the biggest milestones for a basketball player at NBA draft with a photo moment that recreates the atmosphere of the draft stage. Track and improve their jump shots, passing skills, and a replicated NBA Combine Challenge, complete with a sounding report that highlights your stats at the end of the session. Step onto the court and hear the roar of the crowd as you maneuver through a series of timed shots to aim for a high score. Execute the perfect slam dunk, just like your NBA superstar, captured by cameras surrounding adjustable baskets. Test their ball handling skills with the interactive trainer who will challenge them with a variety of dribbling routines. Use an oversized slingshot to launch basketballs at hoops at varying heights, making as many shots as possible before the clock runs out in a thrilling time challenge. Immerse yourselves in rich history and legacy of NBA and WNBA, let's say WCW, WNBA championship winning teams. Access a team locker room that showcases up-to-date statistics and visuals of NBA and WNBA players. Test your knowledge of NBA and WNBA past and present during a trivia game with up to 25 participants competing against one another to become champion. Enjoy 2 180-degree cinematic presentations that showcase an in-arena experience moments before the game starts, as well as special stories from players' perspectives. Take a seat at an interactive multi-screen module to watch replay clips from NBA games using the tools at their stations to make the right calls. Hopefully this will be a 4D experience because then I will for sure be there during opening weekend. And play interactive basketball games from a fan favorite Pop-A-Shot to modern video games. Finally, you'll be able to explore a retail store featuring NBA-themed merchandise, of course, like most other deals at Disney. What do you think? That sounds pretty cool.
It does sound pretty cool. I mean, I kind of like it. At first, I was thinking, all right, it's going to be some arcade, style, like Dave and Buster's style, just like free throw machines, and that's going to be it. But it sounds like a huge, you look at all the concept art and everything, and I've seen some of the construction going on. It was a huge piece of real estate to begin with. So the fact that they're adding all these different things and all these different experiences, it does sound really cool. It sounds like a Hall of Fame, like an NBA Hall of Fame on steroids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe I'm just a little off base, and I hope folks don't get upset at this comment. I was not, NBA to me doesn't seem, maybe I'm just out of touch. It doesn't seem like the NBA is as popular as it was when I was a kid, when you had 100 different names. that you can just go to any team and know one or two guys. I don't know if that was just like in the NBA Jam era, where like NBA Jam was so popular, you had those two guys there. But it sounds like something that if you're somebody who likes athletics specifically, or likes to have a good time and has kids that want to go and have fun, it sounds like a really fun deal to do.
I mean, speaking as someone who works every day with kids,
yeah,
they are definitely still very big fans of basketball. I have a lot of huge basketball fans. Every so often, when we get close to a break or something like that, when we allow the kids to come in, hook up an Xbox or a PS4 or something to our big screens that we have in the classroom, and we let them play games. It's always Fortnite, of course, but the second biggest game is always like 2K. It's always NBA 2K. Whatever
really?
the most recent one is. So, I mean, and they, when I hear them talking about basketball, they throw out names that I've never heard of, and they talk about them like it's, Jordan and Bird again. So, I get the sense that it's definitely still very big. And, especially if you turn on ESPN or something like that, it's always in the top three sports. It pretty much goes football, basketball, baseball, and then, everything else is kind of playing for fourth place. But it's definitely a huge experience, and I think it's going to. I mean, I'm looking at the comments on the Disney Parks blog, and everybody is like, "I'm super excited. I didn't know that. I'm definitely coming. Like, we haven't been to Disney in forever, and I'm definitely coming now next year." So I think it's going to bring a lot of people that haven't been in a while, because it's just tapping into you're going to get a lot of people that are just generally speaking Disney fans, and then when they started bringing Marvel stuff in, it's okay, if you're a Marvel fan, then you got to come to Disney to experience the Marvel stuff, and oh well, if you're a Star Wars fan, you got to come to Disney to get the Star Wars stuff. So now that it's okay, well, if you're an NBA fan, you got to come to Disney to experience the NBA stuff, like,
right,
because they have this stuff that you can't really get anywhere else unless you go to New York City. But again, New York City, there's so much else to do that
right.
no
And
one
this
really goes
definitely
to Manhattan to go to the NBA restaurant.
right. And I will say that this sounds much more of an experience than that store there. And I didn't realize that Disney Quest must have been a pretty big area, because this sounds like
It was, yeah. I mean, Disney Quest itself, it didn't feel like much. There was 5 stories, but each level kind of didn't feel. I feel like there was a lot of potential that went to waste at Disney Quest,
right.
because it was just kind of one of those things that was built and then it was kind of forgotten about to an extent, because like every so often there would be some sort of new arcade game or something like that. It had a lot of Dave and Buster's style big classic video games. Like you could play Fruit Ninja on the huge screen, and you could play
Oh,
Guitar Hero and air hockey and bowling and stuff like that. And it had the classic arcade games, like you could play Pac-Man, you could play Donkey Kong and all those games. But it had a lot of other huge like interactive video games and stuff too that I kind of miss. But this sounds like a really interesting experience.
yeah, no, really. I mean, and I mean, you also got to figure, if they've taken 3 years to put this together, when it does come, it's going to be the thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. And basketball's the type of deal too, where even if you're not necessarily following the NBA or WNBA, everyone loves to go down to the parks and play basketball and do different things. And whether you're thinking of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Giannis from the Milwaukee Bucks, who I know is super popular these days, there's always something there for someone. I think for me, part of my lack of excitement over the NBA these days, the NBA product, is just how bad my teams have been for so long.
That could very be.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it has been a solid like 6 years where a team like the Knicks just hasn't been relevant. And before that, it was like another 6 years. So it's been so long since the team's been relevant that sometimes it takes its toll. And it's super different with the NBA as opposed to the NFL, because the NFL, you can get behind a team and they're going to, it's one and done. Whereas the NBA, their playoffs last 3 months. So if you're not really into a team, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, that's true.
So, well, that should be fun. One of the other things that I know is near and dear to your heart, Steve, that I wanted to quickly get into here, the dates were released for the Run Disney events. We haven't gotten into too much Run Disney here on the show. We're definitely going to do that in 2019 and talk about the different races that are coming up in the parks, and something that, I know you usually take part in or try to. It's something my wife and I, are looking into the early stages of potentially doing that as well. But there's the Run Disney virtual series that's going to be held between June 1st and August 31st. There's the Disneyland Paris Run weekend, September 19th to September 22nd. The Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend, which sounds awesome, October 31st to November 3rd. There's the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend, presented by Cigna, so I'm assuming this is that's their biggest one, which will be January 8th to 12th, 2020. And then the Disney Princess Half Marathon weekend, which will be February 20th to the 23rd. And you also have then Star Wars Virtual Half Marathon, January 3rd to March 31st, and Star Wars Rival Run Weekend, August 19th to August 16th to 19th. Remember, these are in 2020 though. Are you taking part in any of these coming up?
We have been looking ahead to the Wine and Dine Half Marathon for next year, the one that's October 31st to November 3rd of 2019. So I know my wife is looking to register. Her friend Amy is looking to register. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it because I didn't have an opportunity to run the Princess Half Marathon, because by the time I decided that I would do it, the challenges sold out. So I'm not going to be able to do that. But I'm looking ahead to probably the Wine and Dine Half Marathon being my next half marathon. So start training now.
Yeah, hey, it's one of these things that we've definitely considered doing. And let me ask, it says registration opens March 19th, which is way before that. Is this something that typically sells out?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. So you got to make sure you get on that.
So you definitely, if you want to, and especially because the thing is that the 2-course challenge, which would be the 10K and the half marathon, is probably going to sell out quicker, because if the 10K or the half marathon sells out, then the 2-course challenge is going to sell out too. Yeah. So that's usually the one that if you like, it's usually, I feel like if you're going to do one, you might as well do the challenge.
Right.
Because it's a completely different experience. I did the 10K and the half marathon of Star Wars this past year. And at first I registered like, yeah, I'm going to do it. This is going to be awesome. And then I kept thinking like, what am I getting myself into? But it actually wasn't that bad. At least for me. I mean, it all depends on, what your current fitness level is. But if you're looking ahead, you have almost a year to prepare for it, which is plenty of time if you can do it. There's plenty of apps and plenty of resources and stuff. There's even actually a few on the Run Disney website. I'm lost for his name right now, but there's a very popular runner that basically has this method. And if you keep this method, it's like you guarantee results. You guarantee a decent pace time.
That's awesome. Did you do any of this year?
I didn't do anything. The only race that I did this year was the Star Wars marathon, the half marathon and the 10K. And then next year, looks like I'm going to be saving up to do the 2-course challenge for Wine and Dine.
Oh, very nice. I might do the either I could do one of two things. I can do the I could maybe just do one of those, right? Like just
you can select. So at least with the Wine and Dine half marathon, there are kids races there. That's going to be on November 2nd. But then there's also the 5K on November 1st. There's the 10K on November 2nd, and then there's the half marathon on the 3rd. Now, if you want to do the challenge, then that is going to be the 10K and the half marathon. And the thing about the challenge is if you sign up to do the challenge, then you get the medal for the 10K, you get the medal for the half marathon, and then you get a special medal for completing the challenge as well.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That is really cool. One other thing that I might do instead of that is a supporter challenge, which is I'll just come and support you.
Yeah, you should definitely do that too.
Is that free to do if you wanted to do that?
So there's I don't know what the cheer squad package is, but it's if you just want to show up, to cheer people on, yeah, you can do that. That's fine.
Gotcha. How sad, though, really, coming from New York all the way down to Florida during that weekend and not participating, just cheering others on.
I mean, the thing is that since it's going on during the Food and Wine Festival, it's a great time. If you want to kill all of your birds with all of the stones, I'm sorry, if you want to feed all of the birds with all the scones, taking the PETA challenge. But it's during you could, because of the fact that it's that week, if you plan it well enough, you could knock out a Halloween party, you could get food and wine festival, you could do the marathon, and then that next week, if you kind of time it well, you can also get on the Christmas parties. So
Oh
they
wow,
may have strategically placed it during that weekend because of, hey, this is going to be one of the biggest weeks of the year if you plan it right.
I like it. Yeah, that's really cool. Something that is not as cool, and we'll definitely get more into. I think we should definitely do a little show, so to speak, about more about Run Disney and what people can expect, because I know it's something that you've done, and that definitely sounds really interesting. Something unfortunate, a little bit of unfortunate news that we had a bit of a good time with the other day. It was announced that, as I'm pulling it up here, the link that was on our Twitter. Give me 1 second. It was announced that from Mad About Disney that Disney has silenced Talking Mickey at Town Square Theater. So he is no longer going to be, for those who don't know, that Mickey at Town Square Theater, who's right there with is it Tinkerbell still that he's with in Town Square Theater?
So you have, I mean, you don't meet both of them at once, but yeah,
Right.
you have an opportunity to meet Tinkerbell and Mickey Mouse.
Right, and Mickey Mouse has become one of the more popular attractions over there. It's always a long line to go meet him, and it's one of these deals where he would interact with you. He would talk, he would wink and blink all over the place. But it was a really cool thing that people got a kick out of. I remember not knowing that was going to happen when I first walked in there, and suddenly Mickey was chatting with us and telling us to say cheese and then say Limburger, which my sister thought was hysterical. Didn't know what that was, so she kept laughing. So you got my sister to have a legitimate, genuine smile, which is something that is not easy to do. So it was a great thing. Why do you think they got rid of this?
I honestly don't know. It was kind of one of those things where when it was brought out, it kind of had mixed reactions. Mostly because, especially when you're talking about, especially younger kids interacting with characters, there's a fine line because sometimes you could say, okay, maybe it will help the kids and like make an icebreaker if Mickey is talking and kind of, like it might ease the transition. But then if also on the other side, maybe it's going to make things worse if he talks.
Right.
So like there's like fine line of like, I don't know how my child is going to react to the fact that Mickey is going to actually talk to him. It might get weirded out. It might make things better. I don't know. It was one of those things where because of a couple of different reasons, it was kind of delayed a little bit. So I don't honestly know what the reason was, one way or the other, to take him away, or to, I guess, tell Mickey that he's not going to be speaking anymore to the kids.
Well, one of the things that I'd actually found an article about this is this almost happened back in May. There were conflicting reports that it looked like he was going to be silenced from that point forward, but then was still talking. I know as late as when we were there in July. And part of the idea is, technical difficulties, right? That can kind of be an issue. And another thing is it's confusion amongst the guests because none of the other furry characters talk. So it was tough. Some people were a little confused by that. It was just not necessarily worth it.
That could be too, where your expectation is, if this is your first experience with a furry character, and Mickey is talking and interacting with you and everything like that, and you enjoy it, you want more of that. So you're going to go to all these other furry characters and you're going to try and talk to them, and then they're not going to talk to you in response, and you're going to be like, oh, well, what's the deal with Winnie the Pooh? Why isn't he talking back? Why doesn't he like me?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're 100% right. Probably the biggest news that broke, and this I think I don't know unless Steve has something else. This is the last thing I have of the day. One of the biggest pieces of news that has broke, Buzzy, the audio animatronic, has been missing. He is somebody who was stolen yesterday from Epcot, from the Cranium Command attraction. It says he was stolen and is now gone missing. This is a huge deal all over Disney Twitter last night. Basically, Cranium Command is an old attraction that was part of the Wonders of Life Pavilion. The attraction starred Buzzy, an Audio M animatronic member of the Cranium Command, and his deal is to help navigate the daily struggles of a young boy from inside his head. It says he was stolen from the attraction and removed from Epcot without anyone noticing. And as of 24 hours ago, he is still missing. Somebody has video of him back in 2005, and he's missing. Now, was this still an attraction that was still around today?
No. Cranium Command is an old attraction. It's I think so ever since like 2007, so almost over 11 years at this point. It hasn't been like used at least that long. But basically what happens a lot of times is when a ride closed down, and if it doesn't get refurbished and like that kind of thing, a lot of the stuff just kind of stays there. I've been in a few backstage areas where you can still see a lot of, especially at Epcot, because there were a lot of old classic attractions that kind of got either reimagined or shut down or for whatever reason and turned into something else, where a lot of the times, if they don't have another place to put this stuff, they're just going to kind of keep it where it is if they can,
Right.
which is the case with Wonders of Life, with Cranium Command. So if they didn't have a reason to move something, they're not going to, because it takes, and the thing is that it was a big animatronic and it's a lot of parts. And there's still like hydraulic oil and that kind of stuff in it, obviously, because they said like there was there was a point where it said sources say that there was hydraulic oil spilled where Buzzy was taken. So like it's not an easy thing to do. It's not like this is smuggling a sign or something, or even a small animatronic. Like this had to have been multiple people, and I hate to say it, but it sounds like it had to have been an inside job too, because only cast members would have known where to go, that it's still there, and how to get in and out so that no one saw them.
Right. You're right. And you wonder what the plan is. Like,
I'm sure, chances are Buzzy is sitting at home somewhere on, in someone's living room or something. And like, just kind of being a talking piece now. Like, but the thing is that, it's not one of those things that you can necessarily say, oh, look what I, have everyone over for Christmas and say, hey, look what I have. Like,
you can't put them on eBay.
Right. This has got to be like a black market thing or something. But like, it's not like a sign or something, that, but it's like it's a one of a kind of animatronic. Like no one else is going to have this. Right. You kind of have it, so I wonder what happened.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy. I think it's a sad story too, because it seems like it's a pretty iconic animatronic. How would people have still seen this though? That's the one thing I'm confused about. How did people notice he was missing?
Well, the thing is that if it was in like a backstage area, the thing is that maybe this was taken a little bit. Maybe it did take them a few days to notice. I don't think we have any idea of knowing when it actually happened. You just know that they found out that it happened yesterday. So, it could have been a few days ago. It could have been a week, or who knows how long.
Right. It could have been something where it was a backstage tour that somebody saw and then was like, oh my God.
I don't know about necessarily a backstage tour, but if cast members happen to be wandering into, there are certain backstage locations that you don't really necessarily go to often.
Right.
But if just a cast member happened to be walking around and noticed, hey, wait a minute, where's Buzzy? Like, there's this huge animatronic that's usually in that corner, and now he's not there anymore. What happened?
That is crazy. That's insane. Well, do you have anything else that you wanted to get to kind of in the news portion of things?
No, because I think that's an excellent segue to go into our talking our topic that was going to be today.
Absolutely. We kind of had like a Christmas wish list type deal, but this was something I think the Buzzy deal had given Steve the idea. And so, Steve, why don't you explain exactly what we're going to do here?
Yeah, so I started coming up with a couple of different ideas of themes for it. Of if there was some sort of Disney, I guess you could call it memorabilia, that you would want from Disney World or Disneyland or wherever, what would it be? What memorabilia would you want? One of a kind, unique memorabilia would you want? If you follow along with Neil Patrick Harris at all, there's a lot of things that he has acquired through auctions and, kind of that stuff legally, not stealing it.
Right.
Like very unique pieces of certain things. And, it's a fairly common thing. Actually, cast members have opportunity to, it starts small with like, you go to, there's a certain area that I'm not going to, kind of divulge the location to or anything like that or too many details. But it's a fairly well-known store where at first it's kind of like, at first there's one part that's kind of part Disney outlet where they basically sell the same kind of stuff at a similar discounted price, where if you go to the Disney outlets that are in certain stores, you can find either discontinued or out of season of merchandise or, like dated merchandise and that kind of stuff at a really steep discount. And they have that kind of stuff there for cast members. But then you also have this other area where you can buy, like stuff from resorts. Like you can get anything from silverware and dishes and stuff like that to couch cushions from, the Grand Floridian, or you can get, chairs or, desks or beds and stuff that used to be in resorts that, they're selling just because there was a refurbishment or something that you need to get rid of. So that kind of stuff, fairly common to get, but things like, and even like, seats from attractions sometimes will go there, or, park benches sometimes wind up in areas like that. But not animatronics. And, a lot of these other big ticket items, so to say. So I was thinking if, we're going to kind of run through a few different categories, see if we can kind of think of stuff off the top of our heads that we would want. Starting with, just because of Buzzy, in memory of him, what animatronic from any Disney ride would you want for your house?
Well, that is a good one.
One animatronic that you would want from your house. And, it could be from either a show or, a pre-show area or, any ride or anything like that. What animatronic would you want in your house?
That's a really good one. There is the animatronic. This might sound completely insane. There's the animatronic from the Splash Mountain attraction where the alligator is up and he's trying to catch, I think it's Brer Fox.
It would probably be Brer Rabbit if he's trying to catch someone.
Right, Brer Rabbit. And Brer Rabbit has his legs spread out and he's trying his best to avoid it. And I love that attraction. I always love to point that out every time I go on that ride. So that might be the one that I'd like to have.
That would definitely be interesting. Yeah.
Really random, but I always like that one. And I love that attraction. So, the movie itself, I know it has a lot of controversy around it. I have not really seen that movie. So I've always just equated Brer Bear, Brer Fox, and Brer Rabbit with the Splash Mountain attraction.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of the idea where it's like everything else about it is kind of forgotten about, except for the Brer Rabbit story and Zippity Doo Dah and that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly.
Everything else is kind of like, what do you mean? No, this is the way it's always been, and sweep everything else about Song was out under the rug.
Right. So I'd say either that one. If we're going with something that's could be outside of WDW, the animatronic of Abraham Lincoln from Mr. Lincoln's Great Tale is a good one too.
That would be a good. Yeah, that would definitely be a good one. Yeah, that's
slightly creepy to have Abe hanging out right there all the time, but what can you do?
Well, and especially if it's one of those things where it's like you don't leave him plugged in, where it could be like a Toy Story thing where he's going to come to life at night.
Right, exactly. He's just kind of sitting there like this all the time.
Yeah,
totally head down.
I think mine, just because it's off the top of my head, would probably have to be Stitch from Stitch's Great Escape, especially if I can control when he spits and when he does certain things. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yes, I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, and also because he's not doing anything right now anyway, so
that's true. Nobody would miss him. He's not around, so that's good.
So next up would be if you could have a ride vehicle, any attraction, to either hang out with or just as a talking point or that kind of thing. What ride vehicle would you want in your house?
Oh, man, that is a good one. Man, off the top of my head, let me see. How about the designed cars from the test track attraction in
Oh,
Epcot,
okay.
right? So I'd have like a nice, new, good-looking car that I'd be able to drive around.
I think that would be cool. I also think, just sticking with cars, the one of the cars from the Radiator Springs Racers,
Ah, that
that
would
would
be
be kind of
cool.
cool because you could just like park it in front of your couch and hey, you got room for six right there.
Yep, that would be awesome. Of course,
Or
the other.
like or the super stretch limousine from Rock and Roller Coaster. That would be kind of cool too.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, I like that. I also like maybe you have a lake or something by your house, and every time you decide to go outside, the Jungle Cruise is waiting there for you.
There you go, the Jungle Cruise boat.
And you have a what is the cast member called who helps you out with that?
The skipper.
The skipper. He's there at 24 hours a day. So if ever you're in a bad mood, he's there to help you out.
I mean, they're fully functional boats. They're really driving those boats. So I mean, they're functional. So why
Yeah.
not? You can
Well, that
definitely.
would be great. It would be great.
And then what about one set piece? Not necessarily an animatronic, not like a vehicle, but like just a general set piece um, from any attraction. I have a couple of different ways that you could go with this. So, oh, actually, one that just popped into my head, but go ahead.
Set piece. That is tough. Hmm. What did you so I can understand the different ways you're going
Okay,
with it?
so for example, mine would be the tombstone for Master Gracie that's outside the Haunted Mansion.
That is
Like
cool.
the real legit one. Like you can get kind of facsimiles and that kind of stuff, but like the real legit one. That would definitely be one of them. Um, or I was kind of thinking, actually, I'm gonna wait on this one. I'm gonna because it fits with another theme that I just thought about. So, but like a set piece like that, or like I don't know, maybe like a backdrop or something, or like like the like some sort of set piece or design, something in the background or something in an attraction.
I like the huge Kermit the Frog statue as you're walking into the Muppets 3D show.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
big Kermit. If I walked in, we could put him outside of our place over here, and he'd just be hanging out there. I think that's like
That
a
would be
really
pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool piece.
All right. So now I have two more that. So one is how am I going to word this? All right. So I'll go with another one. What if you could do a miniaturized version of an attraction in your backyard?
Oh, I
Because
like.
there have been like I don't know if you've seen videos of like dads have like made like like mini roller coasters and like mini kind of that kind of thing. I think actually there was one that made a mini haunted mansion
That
in
is
their back
cool.
in their backyard. Like so, if there was a miniaturized version that you could make, if you had the room for it hypothetically in your backyard, what would you want it to be?
Well, two ways I could go with this. Number one, of course, would be a miniature splash mountain, right? Because I love myself a good log flume,
Yeah.
getting wet on a hot day. And another one, everyone knows I'm a huge fan, a big mark for 4D shows. Many a times, if we go to a museum or anything, 4D show, I will throw down good money to go to a good 4D show. And even if it sucks, I usually will try to give it the benefit of the doubt. So how about a mini Mickey's PhilharMagic studio right outside in my yard that we can go back there and enjoy a good show?
Yeah. Have you ever been to It's Tough to Be a Bug?
Yes, I have. I love that
Okay,
attraction.
okay. Because I know, like every time we go and like, oh, maybe we'll do it. But I know if Amanda's ever with us, we don't want to do it because I know she
We,
hates
we,
it.
we did the first time we were down there in
Okay,
2013.
yeah, all right, good.
Yeah. And it was like you guys didn't tell us anything about it. So it was like,
Right.
what is going on? But yeah, so that is something I would do.
I think mine would have to be Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin
Oh, okay. That's
because
great,
it would
especially
be
because
so
you can
cool to
play
have
against
your
each
own
other.
little video game like in your backyard. Like, I think
That
that
would
would be
be
kind of cool.
that, and especially because you're playing against each other too. It's always a competition.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, All right, well then, I guess that kind of I was going to say what like 4D theater would you want in like if you had like a mini 4D theater to do, obviously then it would be PhilharMagic.
Well, now that you
Um,
mentioned it, though, I do think like the Toy Story Midway Mania would also be fun to do too.
that would be
You
cool,
and I
yeah.
always play against each other in that, and I spend far too much time searching for all the secret pieces that I think are going to be worth a little more money, and she just sits there bang, 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 bang the entire time, and usually destroys me. But those are always fun.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so the big difference between Midway Mania and the Space Ranger spin is that Midway Mania, you know how much everything is worth. It's just if it's worth more points, it's going to be harder to hit. With the Space Ranger spin, they don't tell you how much. They don't tell you the fact that different targets are worth different points.
Oh,
so
wow.
A lot of people go into it and just I'm going to hit whatever targets I can. But the further away, the harder a target is to hit with Buzz Lightyear, the more that's worth too, because there's one or two that are worth like 100,000 points a pop.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's how whenever I'm with you guys, I always get 999,999
and beat us, senseless.
Because
yeah.
So the last topic that I would have, because we're mostly kind of going with attractions, but if there was something practical that you could pull from the parks in general, and this goes to parks, resorts, if there is something that, from a resort that you really like, and there's one particular thing that they have that you would want to take back, what would it be?
Easy for me. It would be the Mickey pretzel maker. I'd have it sat right in my kitchen. It would make pretzels. It would make Mickey pretzels. They'd be right there, ready to be taken at any time, with little cheese sauce cups as well to go with that.
I would be thinking either that or like the popcorn, like a popcorn mixer or something like that. Yeah, definitely.
That'd be cool. One thing I was going to also say, I'll never forget the moment after we went in 2013. You were working for the parks. And if there's one thing I wanted to bring back with me to New York, it was the option to do what you were doing, which I remember you had tweeted something to the extent of, the struggle of getting to work early and having 2 hours to kill. Looks like I'll be riding Space Mountain this morning. And you were actually able to go and ride the attractions before you started your shift. And I was just like, man, life is far too hard. I get 2 hours of traffic, and Steve's getting 2 hours of attractions before he starts his shift.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
Those were very, very good times. But that is. Did you have any of the other ones you wanted to add?
Those are kind of it off the top of my head. But if anybody out there in the Twitter land has any other ideas or has any answers to any of the categories that I've thrown out, definitely hit us up.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're gonna definitely be back next week, at least with one. To talk with Steve off air about potentially maybe even doing a little bit of a bonus episode of Disney 101 as we enter the new year. Working on a couple of different things as well, trying to figure out ways to get our show over on iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff as well as we enter the new year here. But Steve, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, if we're going to be signing off, just everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, all that good stuff, and have a magical week. We'll see you real soon.
Absolutely, yes. Merry Christmas to everybody if you do celebrate. If you don't celebrate, though, hey, most of the time you have a day off. There's a lot of good movies coming out. Bumblebee's coming out. That looks good. Wreck-It Ralph is still out in theaters. The new Into the Spider-Man movie's out. That looks really good. There's a lot of good stuff out there. So go out, get some movies, watch some movies, enjoy yourself. If you're down in the parks, one other last thing before we get out of here. I heard there's a Into the Land holiday version. Did you hear about this?
What do you mean?
The ride, like Into the Land, that ride that's in Epcot.
Are you talking about Living with the Land?
Living with the Land. Yeah, I wasn't so off. Yes, Living with the Land. I hear there is an attraction that's a holiday version of that.
I hadn't heard that they decorated it for holidays, but I wish I would have known so that we could have checked it out.
Yeah, I just found this out a little while ago as I was browsing the page of WWE News Today, which if you have not had an opportunity to check that site out, go for it. Go do that because it's a great site. And it seems like they have a review up right now of the holiday version of Journey of Living with the Land. So
that's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. So if you guys are down there in the parks, it's going to be a crazy week, but enjoy your time there. Have fun. And again, as Steve had said, let us know your Disney Christmas wish list there. What things would you take from the parks to have in your home? So that is going to do it for us. Make sure you keep it locked in on Twitter at Disney101pod for all the latest news, updates, and just to chat with us. We love to talk with you guys about all of your favorite Disney stories. Be sure to also give us a like and subscribe so that you will know whenever we're on the air. There's times, we might have something that pops up. We just jump on here for 20, 30 minutes and shoot the breeze about it. So make sure you do hit that bell so you know when we're on the air as well. Until next time, for Steve, this has been Tommy on the Spot, and everyone take care and have a very, very happy holiday.